Welcome to the Iowa Veterans Network, where we will try to connect veterans, companies, and supporters to each other and supply information to make better sense of the military and civilian worlds. This is Frank Spizzetto, host of this new channel dedicated to engaging conversations. Thank you for checking us out. Good morning. Today I got Beth Grabau with, she's the executive director at Veterans in Agriculture, and she's been gracious to spend some time with us and tell us about what it is Veterans Agriculture is. And tell us, but start off, Beth, tell us a bit about yourself. What got you into this line of work in the beginning?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having us. I'm excited to be here and talk about veterans in agriculture. So my background is I have always worked in agriculture. I am a former USDA employee. So I was with USDA for 27 years, and I worked for USDA's Farm Service Agency. I was a county director there and worked with a variety of types of agriculture. I was in a county very close to Des Moines, so we had very diverse agriculture. In my role at USDA, I also was the outreach coordinator for about 10 years in the last, as part of my county director job. It was just an add-on duty. And then at the end of my career, I was the outreach and a public affairs specialist for the entire state of Iowa. So I retired from USDA, started doing contract work for different nonprofits, and Veterans in Agriculture came and asked if I would come work for them because of my connections in agriculture and with commodity groups, and also having worked with farmers of all different sizes, crops, worked with loans. Our organization did beginning farmer loans, so I have an extensive background in ag. So yeah, longer ago than I want to admit, I came to Veterans in Agriculture to provide resources and information for veterans and active military.
Oh, that's kind of an amazing journey you've been through. I imagine you've seen a lot of things over the years, different things in the industry, but how do veterans play a part in agriculture? I guess that's when people ask me questions about veterans in agriculture. Some folks think it's you got veterans on one side and farming on the other, and you just threw them into a blender, but I don't think that's kind of how that goes.
No, it's not how it goes at all. Our organization likes to tell people that 46% of our military is from rural America, while only 13% of the overall U.S. population is from that same geographic area. So we have a lot of agricultural knowledge in our military, 46%. So of that 46%, half of that, they're from the farm. And the other half of that 46%, 80% of them worked on a farm or in agriculture prior to enlistment. So we have a huge amount of agricultural knowledge in our military.
Yeah, I guess being a veteran myself, I kind of remember some of those jokes, oh, you're from Iowa, corn, and they mix us up with Idaho and Ohio and all that fun stuff. My nickname was, corn. Yeah, it's like there's more to Iowa than corn, drill sergeant. But so yeah, that kind of makes more sense. I never thought about 46% of my fellow soldiers were, from the farm. I wasn't on a farm. I lived in a rural area, and during the summers, guess what I did? Worked on a farm.
Yeah. So you fit those statistics perfectly.
I know. I'd never even imagined. So how do you help out veterans? Is it like if somebody's in active duty, how's that process work? Transition out?
Yeah. So we do a lot of, it kind of depends. We tailor things to the specific individual and what their needs are. Usually what happens, they contact us, obviously, and generally they have already been on the internet, they've done all of this searching, and they're overwhelmed with all the information that is available. And so we really help it's like, all right, what are your goals? What direction do you want to take? Do you and then we try to find the resources for them. Do we is it in production agriculture? Are they already farming and they want to expand an operation? Are they looking for an ag position? What's their knowledge base? Do they have previous ag experience? Because, like I said, each case is just a little bit different, and what they need is different. I'm working with a veteran right now he and his wife want to get into cut flowers. They don't have any farming experience. I worked with a veteran that came home to the farm and wanted to add another traditional corn and soybean farm for Iowa, but wanted to transition or wanted some of the land to be devoted to garlic. And so found them resources for garlic production. So it is very varied in what it is that we do for each individual.
Yeah, that sounds pretty diverse in what you do. So take me through an example. So you say resources. Are there in the garlic industry? Are there, I imagine, tax breaks, loans, what have you, business partners that you help them create in those scenarios, or do you help them find land?
Yeah. So like in the garlic situation, they were looking for a mentor. Just a mentor to help them with that. And so we were able to connect. Sometimes we're talking about loans, beginning farmer loans, or the correct type of business loan, because we work a little bit with some rural businesses too. So, making sure they have the correct loan product. Do they just, do they need information, just basic information? Sometimes it's a business structure. What type of business structure is going to be best for their operation? Do they want to form a partnership or a corporation or an LLC? Based on what, it gets very involved. So then we've got different board members with our organization that can help answer some of those more technical questions. And so, yeah, it's really about matching the individual with the information that they want.
So I guess I'm starting to pick up now. I'm a little slow on the take sometimes, but so if I was to get out of the military, I've been a wheel mechanic. There's 24 companies in this area that I could apply to, take the skills I have, and immediately get any extra training I need, go to a college, boom, I have a career. But in the farming world, you're basically your own boss. And so I get the feeling like you fill in that little gap on if you want to go into farming or change what you're doing in farming. There is a learning curve. There are training and resources you need available, which in the, I'll say public sector, for lack of a better term, versus the farming world, you get that when if I went to John Deere, I immediately plug into all these resources. In the farming world, you need somebody to call when you need something. And for the veteran side, that am I kind of summarizing?
Yeah, exactly. Because, depending on how long they were enlisted, how long they served, some of those resources have changed. They may have known who to contact, but they have been away from that rural community for 10 years. I work with a lot that are that served for 20 and are getting out. Well, those resources are different. Those resources are different even post COVID, because there's a lot of organizations that I worked with prior to COVID that did not make it through they're no longer in existence. So, it's been a little bit of challenging. So we're kind of in that middle ground where, people just want somebody to talk to. I get a lot of, when people contact us, they're like, oh, you emailed me back or you called me back. So I'm not sure how many organizations do what we do. We, primarily work in Iowa because we're located in Johnston. We're not far from Camp Dodge. In fact, I can see the convoys go by when I look out my window. And, so we primarily work in Iowa and the Midwest, but I work with anybody that calls me. I work with a lot of people out of California, but just both coasts, just pretty much. I think I've covered most of the states in the few years I've been working for this organization. And then also when they're still deployed, they get very late. Okay, I know I'm getting out at this time, or they may have been serving overseas for most of their career. So I get a lot of questions from those individuals as well. This is what I want to do. I'm getting out in X amount of time, and they're really starting to, gather that information and that knowledge base, so they'll be ready to go when they come back home.
That's pretty fascinating, because I could imagine somebody's on active duty. You got Skill Bridge for that side where you want to go in, and you can help, not necessarily do a Skill Bridge, but you can help them prepare for when they're getting ready to get out.
Yeah, exactly. And we are looking into how we can work with Skill Bridge and help with some of those transitions as well for agriculture. But yeah, so we do a little bit of everything. I will look at military resumes and help them pick out what the skill sets are that can be applied to different organizations within agriculture, because I tell people agriculture needs everybody. We need accountants, we need lawyers, agriculture needs everybody. You don't have to have an ag background to work for a company that needs your skills.
Yeah, I had my grandfather. He was a farmer, and he was a grizzly old man, but he had that desk where he kept it before computers, right? So, but he had this desk and he had a map, and he knew where the water was going to be, how much rain. I mean, there's a lot of accounting, all of his receipts. He knew how to run a business. Even though if you talk to him, he'd be like, "Oh, you're not a businessman." Well, actually, he was. So you kind of help them through that process of getting that set up as well.
Yep, exactly. There's a lot just, and even figuring out marketing, because, okay, you want to grow this product, but how is it that you're going to market it? Particularly for those that are not in traditional corn and soybean production. You're going to have this vegetable garden. How are you going to market it? Are you taking it to farmers markets? There's a community-based or community-supported agriculture, or CSA. Are you using that model? Are you just having a stand along the road? How got to figure out the market side of it too before they start to produce. So there can be a lot of moving parts. So we really try to give them as much information and help them decide how they want the business to be in.
And you probably, it sounds like you just partner with them all along that process. I imagine you probably never really just let them go, right?
No, yes, and they will keep coming back for for more information. I think the hardest thing for me to learn that was even though I have military in my family, I did not serve, but others in my family have. The hardest thing for me to understand was, I will give them information and sometimes some of them just go with it and I never hear from them again. It's like, well, I hope they're doing okay. But we have active military on our board, and they're like, that's their training. They are trained to take information and act on it. So that's what they did. So that was, in my USDA career, I was always used to farmers coming back and asking me 2 or 3 times. And this type of farmer does not do that. So
now we do tend to put our head down and plow forward, part of the process.
Yes. So I appreciate that very much. But like I said, it took me a little bit to understand that part of the culture.
So if I'm a veteran or I'm on active duty, how do I find you and reach out to start developing a partnership?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, which is veteransinaagriculture.org. It's all one word. And there's a contact form there, or they can just email me directly. My email is Beth, BETH, at veteransinaagriculture.org. So,
Easy to remember. That's great.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you spending time with us today and telling us about you. And everybody, at least go check you out. Like I always tell everybody in our network, you don't know who knows who and who needs what. So the more we share this kind of information, the more veterans and active duty we can help support along the way.
Exactly, exactly. We appreciate the opportunity to share our story and what we do. You know, we know that we are not, we know we serve a niche market for people that are interested in agriculture, but we want people to know that we exist in case they do have a question or need our assistance.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, thank you so much, Beth. You have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for taking time to sit with us, and I look forward to catching up with you at a network event somewhere along the road.